Good afternoon. Welcome back to Rowe Podcast. My name is Davis Rowe. I'm a freshman business administration major from Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm here joined by my two friends and co-hosts for the day.
Jaden Hall, first year dual degree engineering major from New Orleans, Louisiana.
And
Dontre Davis, I am a philosophy major, first year freshman from Gonzales, Louisiana on the pre-law track.
okay, thank you. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to y'all boys for helping me out and being a part of my podcast
Thank
for
you so
today.
much for having us.
Absolutely. So today we're going to be discussing the contents of a fictional story, The Sellers and the Glitter Lovers, okay? So this text really is about, two communities emerging on an isolated island, and they prioritize, in one family, the Sellers prioritizes accumulating wealth and capital, and the Glitter Lovers who focus on enjoying life and accumulating material comforts. The Sellers invest in durable, practical luxury goods, while the Glitter Lovers create opulent and creative items. Over time, their economic and cultural values diverge, leading to interdependence, with the Sellers emphasizing stability and wealth. So, boys, we'll start off with you, Dontre. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think about this text so far?
I did a little bit of research on my own, and the Sellers invested in wealth, while the Glitter Lovers just invested in the things that you can sell, like purses, leather, materials. Wealth to me is more important in this story, and obviously the Sellers made a lot more capital in the end. And I honestly think that if you want to look at this both ways, the Sellers created more profit for themselves over a longer period of time, whereas the Glitter Lovers, they just were consumers. And I think that, in this story, you can see the two different ideals on how they play a part with each other. The relationship here is strong in the fact that there is consumers and sellers. And I think that you can put these two together and you can have a functioning economic system.
Okay, Jaden, what are your thoughts on that? Because that's going to lead me to my next question, actually.
Okay, so what I think about just the whole story in general, I think it's just a situation to where we all have different economic statuses, right? And this is just something that typically the upper class deal with in situations. You got ones that want to divulge themselves into wealth, that are born with wealth, and there's others that actually want to financially and responsibly manage their wealth into something that's big. But however, we can be able to see these from two different perspectives, leading to what we want society to happen on its own. So what I think about it is the sellers did the responsible thing and the financially dependable thing. They invested their money correctly. They knew what to do because they knew that it was going to lead them to have a higher profit in the long term. Whereas the other family was just focused on living that lifestyle, enjoying the comforts of what luxury had to them at that time. And that's the reason why they're where they are right now.
You got it.
Yeah, all right, thank you. And there's many shows that kind of showcase that idea. That girl lately on Nickelodeon, actually, there was an episode and where a little kid, they made these candy bars. And, his goal was to actually make a profit over a longer period of time. And, there's buyers and sellers in the situation too, and there's a relationship. He was a supplier of his good, which then in turn to him investing in his own pockets, which then he was able to sell a product to a certain group of people, market it effectively, and then create wealth.
And that makes me think back to my younger days in school, where when in social studies class they taught us about supply and demand and operating to learn and really just maneuver the money world and how to make money. And so a word that I heard a lot of both of you use quite frequently was the word wealth, right? And to many different people, wealth has a different definition. To me, wealth isn't just money and having material objects. Wealth is having knowledge, not knowledge and family and everything that comes with having just greatness and creating, I would say, a legacy towards something. That's what I feel like wealth is. But what do you guys think about that?
Well, I think wealth is not just materialistic. It could be something that's abstract, like something that can be spiritually, something that can be based off of what you know, what you can give that to, how that can affect them in the future, and what progress that they can do with that certain type of wealth over time. So that's why I think that wealth truly is.
Yeah, going off that, like I said, I'm from Louisiana, and one thing I used to hear my grandparents say all the time was, you can be rich but not wealthy. You can be wealthy but not rich. And my grandmother, we didn't have much, and she was a wealthy person. Her love, her affection, her care, her life lessons that she taught us was wealthy. It's lessons and things that can be passed down from generation to generation. The monetary value was not a part of it necessarily, but it's the richness behind the lessons, how to make that money, how to take $10 and make it stretch a whole week. Those lessons like that teach you wealth. You can't just accumulate wealth like you can accumulate richness. You have to build on it. You hear it like in hip hop, they're like they want to be wealthy. Some people say they want to be rich, but most rappers have generational wealth. They don't have generational richness, And so you kind of put those together and you realize that wealth is an accumulation of everything and how everything ties into each other. That's just an example for me that I, kind of grew up with. And I think it's actually really important to understand the difference between wealth and richness. And it's just like, Jade said, it's literally that. And
so my question is, I've been taking my Black entrepreneurship class. This week we discussed different women, Black women specifically, who created wealth for themselves in times that were not in their favor. So Marie Thorez, I could be pronouncing her name wrong, Thorez Coin, okay, and she was a slave, former slave, who created wealth for herself, and really, after she was free, created wealth and was known for being a major business owner and really working to create and build opportunities for other Black people. So my question to you is this: is there a special woman in your life, maybe mother, grandmother, auntie, grandmother, all that, who has created wealth, who you think has created wealth for herself with the challenges of being a Black woman in America today?
Well, I think that, this comes off to two people. I personally believe that my grandmother and my mom both accumulated wealth in so many different ways. From growing up with a family that had money and then going and losing it and then having a different type of economic status. I actually had the chance to be on both different sides of the economic society and the economic status. So growing up rich and then eventually becoming low, middle, around that bracket, it taught me to really value how life is, because you don't have to have things, or you don't have to have objects to make you happy. And that's one of the things that my grandmother and my mom really truly emphasized, especially my mom. Growing up being broke, and especially having a child in her early 20s, that was something where she had to learn because nobody else told her. And my grandfather always said that sometimes you gotta look at the bigger picture of things in order to experience what you want in your life later on. And that's what I believe.
Somebody who was special to me in that sense was my mother. My mother was my mother, because my mother is not dead. She's very much alive. But my mother owns her own business. Her business is called Vibrant Skin Roswell, and she does she basically does cosmetics, facials, laser hair removal, all that good stuff. And I've watched her build her business from the ground up, and I've seen her work on incorporating different types of business. So not only does she do her skincare business, but she also is but is working on being a travel agent. So that's one of her other sources of income. And I'm realizing that in building wealth and being a great business owner, you have more than one type of income. So one day I hope to aspire to have, not to aspire, but I hope to be in a position where my passive income is taking care of my daily necessities every day. You know, I can have my main job or profession, and then, you know, maybe have real estate on the side, you know, crypto or whatever. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, I agree with that. Definitely. I said my grandmother already, but my mom as well. You know, growing up, she was poor. Raised in a single parent household with two other brothers. You know, in a low income area in Louisiana. It wasn't easy, but one thing my mom took from that situation was never take anything for granted. And I think now to where we're at now in our lives and where we're at financially and economically, we're stable. And you know, my mom has
That's
never.
a good thing.
It is a good thing. You know, my mom has never complained. We have a house, we have cars, we have everything we need essential wise. I'm going to school at Morehouse. And it's blessings like that, things that are, you know, people don't really, you know, like think that are huge, but the ability to say that my son goes to Morehouse and I can afford it, that's a huge statement. And, you know, my mom, it wasn't always easy. I'm the first person in my family to go to college, so definitely seeing the, you know,
we clap it up for that one.
Congratulations.
That's something.
It's amazing.
But in order to see, you know, what she's done, her and my dad, you know, create this wealth that not only is for me, but, you know, for my nieces and nephews, for their grandkids, for the people down the line, you know, this is a huge investment. And her being able to, you know, make this decision, send her baby boy away from home, her be strong enough to handle it, support me financially, you know, it's a big decision. And a lot of people don't talk about our women who are entrepreneurs and make money, but it takes a lot to be a mother and to financially, you know, be stable and be strong. You know, and especially in Louisiana, you don't see that a lot, you know. And my parents, you know, they work together, you know, they have done a lot. But it just goes simply back to the thing of like how they were brought up. And I think that it teaches them the difference between wealth and rich, because, you know, my mom could have just said, I just want to stack money. But instead, she decided to invest. She decided to.
Ain't nothing wrong with stacking that paper, though.
There's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, it's the lessons that you learn behind the paper. And I think she values those highly, which is why I'm able to go to such a prestigious institution, but know what the main goal is and follow it. And having that role model in both her and my dad together, you know, is something huge. And I think that, you know, feeding off of that growing up was instrumental in becoming who I am and the lessons that I've learned today. And I still got a long road ahead of me, but it's that foundation, you know, her and my grandmother, it's that foundation that they built that carries you through.
Excuse me. And, you know, I just, again, you know, we're getting close to the end of our time, but, you know, to sum it up, basically, there's a lot of very important things that go into owning businesses and creating wealth and having wealth, but, you know, just very important in the very important names, especially black women that are important in the black and African American community, you know, Eliza Potter, Madam C.C. McCarty, Mary Ellen Pleasant, just are a few names of people, women specifically, that have created wealth for African American people in, you know, not just the United States, but just in general. You know, they set the bar and the guidelines and created an example for everyone to follow. So I just wanted to say thank you to you boys for being a part of my podcast this week. And always, it's a great conversation, and hopefully we'll have you guys back soon to discuss something else. All right, that's it for Rowboat Podcast. On to the next one.